We'd like to start today by acknowledging that we're on the unceded sovereign lands of the Gadigal people and pay our respects to elders past and present. This always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Hey, welcome to So You're Disabled. This episode is brought to you by Spoonie, the community platform for neurodivergent, chronically ill and disabled people. And hey, I'm Soph, I'm disabled. My pronouns are she, they, and Tamara just told me my face looks funny.
I'm Tam. I'm living with a disability and my pronouns are she, her, and no, I said her facial expression was very funny.
You just said my face looks funny.
I said your facial expression was funny.
Have you missed me?
I've missed you so much.
I miss you so much too.
So much.
Well, we want to hear about Illy because all I've done is sit around waiting for you to come back. So...
Well, I feel like all I've done is think about you and miss you, so...
That's a lie. That's a lie. There's been so much that has happened.
Look, a lot
and everyone wants to know.
Okay, fair. A lot has happened, that's true. But I have honestly missed you so much.
Cute. I missed you too.
But also, I'm so excited because so much happened on my trip, but I am going to let you in on a little secret. Before my trip... I mean, even now, to be honest, but especially before then, was just very, very crippled with anxiety. Honestly, I may make jokes of it, but it was really, really hard for me. It was really, really bad. And I mean, even on my trip it was, to be honest. And even right now, I am a bit anxious, but I'm trying a new approach of just saying, it's okay that I feel that way. Like, it's just feelings that will pass. And I'm trying not to put so much pressure on myself, you know, to constantly do things the right way. And I'm trying not to listen to this like inner critic I have in my head that's like constantly telling me I'm not doing things the right way and I'm not enough and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
And I mean, the other thing is that we know you were struggling with sleep before the podcast.
Yeah.
Before Italy. How's that going?
Well, I think I slept for 3 hours last night because I was nervous about this. But, you know, I think that's okay because it just tells me that I care. You know, I care what you think and I don't want to let anyone down. And I've missed you all so much. And I do feel like we've let you down a little bit in not having been able to record earlier. But it's not been possible. Also because the studio has been booked out.
Yeah, we're really sorry. A bunch of things have happened.
Yeah.
And it's been really hard, but we're here.
We're back, and Soph is very keen for me to tell you all about my trip, which is just so foreign to me in a way because I don't necessarily feel that comfortable talking about myself so much, but I'm going to try. I'm going to push through it.
We only want to hear about you this episode.
Well, that's a bit much. Like, you've been up to things too.
Have I?
Yeah. There's plenty of exciting things coming up for you.
My brain just started playing that scene from The Grinch.
What scene?
Where he's like, 4 o'clock, whatever he says. I can't remember.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, anyways, tell us about Italy.
Okay, wow.
You had some big realizations.
I did have some big realizations. So there's so much to talk about. I actually don't know where to start from.
Okay. We want to first hear about, like, Florence and the big realization in Florence. Tell us about that.
I feel like that comes after. I feel like I need to tell you the most exciting part for me. I mean, it's not exciting, but in my mind, it was going to be the most amazing part of my trip. I was so excited. So from when, like, I was really young, from before I was diagnosed, watched the Lizzie McGuire movie. I loved that movie. You've seen it, right, Soph?
Yeah.
And you know how, like, she goes on the scooter with that really hot guy?
Paolo.
Yeah, Paolo, the really, really hot one. Anywho, so that was, like, a big dream of mine. I'm also going to let you in on another little bit about me that I've not shared before that's separate to my disability. I've always been really drawn to scooters, surprise, surprise, but also motorbikes. So my dream had always been to go to Rome and be on a scooter or a motorbike with a paddle and get to experience Rome that way. And anywho, I was so excited because this year I actually did get to meet up with some friends in Rome. And one of them is Roman, by the way, and I really love Roman accents because everywhere in Italy has like specific, unique accents.
And dialects, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's like where the accent sort of comes from, I think. Actually, I have to fact check that. But anywho, and so I got to do that, and that was really, really, really exciting for me. And so in my mind, it was going to be like the most incredible trip. I was realizing a dream, and although I'm not saying it was bad, but it wasn't as much fun when I was there as it was in my mind. And that's just, I think, because I was catastrophizing, because I tend to do that by nature. And I was overthinking a lot. But there was this one day that we met up with some of his friends, and one of them has this really powerful motorbike, which I just like instantly was in love with. And my friend was like, I know you. Do you want to go on that? And I was like, yes, absolutely. I so want to go on that, please. And so I did. And he took me around like Rome. So there I was on this motorbike, like looking at the Colosseum. It was just honestly a huge dream come true for me, especially because, to be honest, after what the neurologist had said to me, when he said that I'd be too sick to keep studying and I'd have to remain confined to a bed, and I'd be lucky if I'd ever be well enough to go to TAFE, to finish school. I thought to myself, who knows if that dream will ever come true? So here I was in that moment, having realized that dream. And it felt so surreal to me, to be honest. I was so happy. And so then I felt so empowered. And I was like, yeah, like you were wrong. Like I'm so like empowered right now. So I decided I was going to tell my friend about my disability and my diagnosis, which is not something I do. And so I did. But honestly, his response, A, made me really uncomfortable, and B, just totally killed my vibe.
Rude.
Yeah, it was not a thing. So basically, he, by the way, for context, had been having all of these issues at work that he was really upset over, and he considered to be a very serious problem in his life. He even said to me, like, this is one of the hardest things I've ever gone through. I don't know what to do. And so then I told him about my diagnosis in this beautiful park. Like, it just felt so lovely to be there. And then he outright said to me, Tamara, I've always known that you're really strong, but now I know for certain that you're one of the strongest people I have ever met. And instantly when he said that, I just like, my whole vibe just fell, like it just dropped. I was like, what? And then he said to me that his problems, or any problems in the world, are not real, legitimate problems. A, that's so false. I mean, all problems are valid. But he said that they're not real problems because they're not health problems. And the only legitimate problems in life are health issues. And because he's been so lucky to be so healthy all his life, he never even gets a cold, or if he does, he still goes to work.
What every person with a disability wants to hear about.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, he doesn't have any problems, and only my problem or health problems are legitimate problems.
Yikes.
And I was just like, what?
Yeah.
So that really wasn't
a vibe.
No, and it was just like, it really ties into inspiration porn. And I was
like, what are you doing?
I know. And like, literally, I know, right? Like, Paolo, I did not consider you to be like that in my mind.
Yeah.
And
just live up to the dream.
I know. And so, like, for me, I was telling him because it was meant to be framed, or no, not meant to. I had intended it to be framed in this very, like, ironic, like, funny, haha, like, doctors can be wrong. The medical model of disability should be challenged way. And instead, he just, like, shat all over that.
He sounds like Paolo from Timu.
What is Timu?
I'll tell you later.
Okay. Maybe you know what Timu is, and so you're laughing at me too, but I genuinely have no idea what that is.
It's like a saying. It's like this website where you can buy like a lot of cheap stuff, but there's controversy about it because anyway, I won't go into it, but like I'll explain later.
No problem. Well, to be honest, I walked away from that not feeling as empowered anymore, just feeling really yucky and like icky. And yeah, it wasn't the experience I thought it would be in my mind, but it was still like good overall to have done that. And maybe, I don't know, I'm such a dreamer. Sometimes I feel like in my mind or how I imagine things to be is so much better than what it really is like when I'm actually living and experiencing that moment.
I mean, I feel like that is a very shared experience because, like, why else would fiction be such a huge genre?
And
for
a great
people?
form of escapism too.
Yeah. Like, I feel like that's what most people use fiction, whether it's novels or movies,
Yeah, absolutely.
for.
And honestly, although it was so amazing and special to spend time with my nonna, with the person who is the closest human left that is most similar to my dad on this earth now.
Aside from you.
Aside from me, thank you. But I can't really I can spend quality time with myself. So yeah, I can. But
It's different.
not, yeah,
I understand.
You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
But otherwise, I won't go into too much detail about it because it's going to kill our vibe today. But basically, it wasn't the experience that I thought I would have, in that a lot of really intense things happened and I was quite unwell as a result of all the stress of things that had gone on my trip. But also, it was very difficult and a bit painful and really disappointing to see and live how differently everyone acted now almost 2 years since my dad passed away. Like, quite literally everyone, including friends and family, have just sort of moved on. And, it felt like one of those, like I was in one of those movies, where someone's like faked their death and then they come back to life and they're like, oh my God, like, all of you people do not deserve to be in my life.
I can imagine your dad haunting all of these people.
I hope he is haunting them because honestly, like, I can't imagine people that I love doing that to, like, my loved ones after I've died.
I think grief is very much like a conversation we want to have at some point. Bit of a bummer.
Yeah.
Bit of a bummer episode, but also an important one because grief, when you have a disability, I think can be very different as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah, sorry. It sounds like your trip was like a lot of things didn't go the way you planned. But
No. I guess that's
through
life.
that you've like had some big realizations and there's been some life-changing stuff that's come out of it.
Yeah, well, that leads me to what you were saying before about Florence. So I was also so lucky because I haven't really had an opportunity to travel very much with my friends in life because I was busy with other things and yada yada. But I was so lucky because I did meet up with a close friend of mine in Florence for a couple of days. And, being with her all of that time was so enlightening in a way because she's such a relaxed, chill, very zen person. And it really just brought to my attention how stressed I really was. Like, I was living my life in constant stress all the time. I was stressed over everything, like all the time. Before I even did something, I was stressing over it for hours, weeks, days, months, sometimes even beforehand. And I just never really got to enjoy each moment. And instead, there was my friend just so chill and relaxed. And that was really amazing to see. And I thought to myself, I really need to work on this more. And I also did some dating when I was over there. But this particular day, yeah, as well. This particular day, my friend and I had a date planned with this very cute Italian guy.
Ooh, molto bene.
This is another thing about me, separate to my disability. Maybe I'm biased, but I quite like Italian men. I think they're very cute. And so I was really excited for this date and we got dressed up and we were downstairs, like, before we met up, taking photos. And then all of a sudden, I just I had all of this pain all in my lower back, and I couldn't walk. And I know for me that when I stress, that directly impacts my physical health. And so I'm not saying that, the two are necessarily synonymous, and that's why I felt unwell and I couldn't walk in that moment. But I just kept thinking to myself, if I hadn't stressed so much, would I right now be so unwell and not be able to, go on this date and enjoy it with my friend when I'm only in Florence for the first time in my life, literally under the Tuscan sun? It's like a big dream for me come true, and I'm not even able to enjoy it because I'm constantly overthinking and having all of these negative thoughts. And, maybe that's potentially what's led me to now be so unwell. And so whilst in the moment, to be honest, it was very frightening and really killed my vibe, speaking of killing vibes. But overall, I feel like that was quite a realization for me, because I realized I don't want to live so stressed anymore. And I'm human. It's not like I've all of a sudden switched a button and I'm perfect now. I still struggle, but I'm making a very conscious effort to improve that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so
great.
much. Thank you. And honestly, I think that it's made me feel much better. Because of all the trauma of what the neurologist said to me, the way that I responded to that was that I just never let my body relax.
Mm-hmm.
And I put all of this constant pressure on myself. And also I felt very, as I've spoken about, very inferior. And also being so vulnerable here, I really struggle with not feeling like I'm enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not interesting enough. I'm just not enough. And I think that now that I'm really trying to heal, and I don't see this as being something that's wrong with me. I very much view it as it's normal that I feel that way. It's very much a reflection of society and the way it values and treats disabled people. And I know it doesn't seem like it, maybe because just like I'm sure you are really good at this, I'm quite good at masking. But I really struggle with confidence issues and with anxiety. Not that you mask anxiety, although sometimes I guess you do. But now that I'm really working on it, I just notice that I'm able to just rest when I have symptoms, and I can't explain what a big difference that's made for my mental health.
That's great.
Yeah, so I feel pretty happy about that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
My time while you're away was much less, let's say, life-changing. I was planning my 30th birthday party.
What do you mean was?
Well, I have been planning my 30th birthday party.
I'm so excited.
I went to see M. Rossiano, who we love.
Ooh, she's
I'm
amazing.
wearing her T-shirt right now.
It looks great on you.
Thank you. And what else?
Have you been on any nice dates with your partner?
Yes.
Oh, that's
but
nice.
I really struggle when I'm put on the spot. My mind just goes blank. So you said that, and I'm like, I know that I have. And if I don't answer yes, he'll listen to this and be like, wow. But I don't remember any right now. But I know there have been. And
that doesn't surprise me. Your partner is very lovely.
Thank you. Yes. And
that's exciting, by the way, that you've been on nice dates.
I just mean I haven't traveled around Italy and, had these big life-changing moments. I have in other times in my life, not travel around Italy so much, but I did once, but had life-changing moments. I've had them a lot, but not so much necessarily in the time that you've been away. I just missed you a lot.
I missed you so much too.
And yeah.
I'm really sad that now that I'm back, our favourite gelato place has closed down.
Well,
in that one suburb that we would go to. So sad.
They're still open.
Yes, but not in that one specific place where the guy who worked there thought that we were in a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was so much fun, by the way. Soph and I would, like, get really into it and, you know, like, very much act like we were in a relationship because
so,
he just
like,
thought we were.
to explain, we have been going to this one gelato store for a long time. I can't even remember how long it's been. Anyways, and then they opened another store and we were going there. Anyways, and one of the owners like would see us so regularly, and we thought nothing of it. But this one time, he said to us, "Oh, not going to Mardi Gras this year," because it was like the Mardi Gras parade that day. And we're like, "No, not this year." And then later we were like, does he think we're... And so then after that, we'd like walk in holding hands and we'll call each other baby. Because it's funny. Like, it's funny because it's entirely possible that Tamara and I could be in a relationship. In fact, my partner did tell me he had a nightmare recently where I left him later in life for you.
I love that. That is a very, like, possible thing that could happen.
That's awful. I had to reassure him. But in this instance, no. I very much see you as more like my family.
Well, I mean, I feel a bit rejected right now.
It's okay, baby.
But honestly, speaking of we'd walk in holding hands, we don't actually just do that when we're sort of like playing along with this person who thinks that we're in a relationship, but we actually do just hold hands sometimes. And I think that's a really good thing for friends to do. I don't think that you should only hold hands with someone that you're romantically involved with. I think there are so many different forms of love, and
absolutely
holding hands is an important thing to do with
just
anyone
showing
you love.
Intimacy. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, you don't have to do it that way, but you can.
Sorry, I stand corrected. I have thought of a story that has happened since we last caught up with everyone listening.
Exciting.
So this is peak me. I was talking to someone and recently, and I was sitting there chatting, and then she goes, "Is your jumper on inside out?" It in fact was, Tamara. It was not only was it inside out, it was inside out and back to front. So the label was like at my neck, facing her, and she goes, "Oh, I thought it could be, you know, a name tag." Yeah, I've put a name tag on my own jumper so everyone knows my name. So that's what I've been up to.
That's so funny. Speaking of name tags, it reminds me about how last month I went to this networking event. It was my first ever networking event. I was really nervous. I didn't actually realize I was walking into a networking event. I thought it was meant to be like a lunch. Anyways, I was chatting to this person and we were exchanging contact details. So he gave me his phone. And so for context, he was dressed very nicely in a suit, like with a suit jacket. He was holding a glass of champagne, and he had passed me. Champagne. No, how do you pronounce it? That's not how you pronounce it.
I apologize to any French-speaking listeners.
Very ill-cultured.
Champagne.
Oui, oui.
Baguettes, croissant, très bien.
So he handed me his phone to put my contact details in, and I was giving it back to him, and I just didn't like consider the distance properly because I touched his champagne glass and then it spilled onto
you touched his champagne glass, eh?
Well, his actual glass, and it spilled on his suit jacket. I was mortified. Can you imagine?
Oh, well. Well, what can you do?
Things happen.
I would be really embarrassed if I were you, but now
Yeah.
that but when it's not me, I'm like, oh well, that's fine. Things happen.
I was quite embarrassed in the moment, but
That's
what can you
fair.
do?
Yeah.
It's
What
still
can
not
you
as
do?
embarrassing as walking around with a name tag on your own jumper.
Yeah, I know. I wish that was do you know once a couple of years ago, I was really tired one morning and I was in the lift going up to my office at work and I was standing in the lift and this person goes, I'm sorry, I have to tell you,
Oh no.
your top is inside out. And it was one with buttons on the front too. So I don't know how I did that, but I've been walking around up to that point with my top inside out. And I appreciate the solidarity of them telling me, but also at the same time, I was good friends. I worked in a very small office at this stage and I was good friends with everyone. And so they would have told me or I would have realized and then I could have pretended no one else had realized. And so by them telling me, it real stressed me about it. But I do appreciate the solidarity in telling me because maybe I didn't have that situation and it was better for them to tell me. But I was so embarrassed when I realized. Yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, I feel like that's something we all do sometimes.
But also, I guess, if you told me the story, I'd be like, why does it matter if it was inside out? Who cares?
Maybe you decided to wear it that way deliberately. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
You're making a fashion statement. Yeah, exactly. Fashion is subjective.
That's true.
But on that note, I think we may have run out of time for today.
That's sad.
Yeah.
But we'll be back soon.
Very soon. Sorry again for not having been able to record an episode sooner.
No, I'm sorry. I'm actually more sorry than Tamara is.
Sophie's making fun of me because all my friends think I apologize too much.
All of your friends think?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to work on it.
It's fine.
It's a work in progress.
We just don't want you apologizing for existing because you do that sometimes.
Well, I'm not sorry for taking up space.
Amen. Yeah. That's great. And on that note, we'll see you next time.
Take care of yourself.
Bye.